Hello. It is. And there's your secretary. She is here.
Madam Secretary. Item number 3 is review the ground rules, but this is our 6th meeting. I kind of feel like, do we need to go with ground rules again? We know the ground rules are not any different than they would be at a committee meeting or at a full board meeting, showing respect for each other. So we will take it for granted that everyone knows the ground rules. Except for one. New business. New business, A, donations. And we have a couple requests here. Now, you got a copy of them. One from the bicentennial +2 celebration. They are actually looking for an ad request, but they didn't put any prices down. They have the ticket price for their event, Saturday, September 24th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Where is it going to be? Mr. Al, do you know?
Omni Hotel.
Omni Hotel at Yale. Yep. 155 Temple Street. Thank you. So they're looking for a donation in the line of an ad. Any thoughts around the table? I'm not.
You want to discuss or?
Yes.
Oh, well, this, I think this is a very good, an honorable thing for us to do as the Black and Hispanic Caucus with the Dixwell Church being the oldest, one of the oldest Black churches in the city of New Haven. It also sits in my group, and this is their 200th anniversary. Actually, this is year 202, but due to COVID, they had to put their anniversary plans on hold. And so this ad, i.e. donation, will really help them to put on a wonderful celebration. So I hope that you guys would be favorable in putting it in that for the Black and Hispanic Caucus, because one thing I've learned is that these programs, they for years, you can see them. I just saw a program from QS from 1935, and all these various names and different things.
One concern I have with both of these, though, is no one is present for either of these, so we could talk to them, ask them any questions. Okay. Al, have you heard anything from these, or have they been invited to speak, to come here?
The ad people have not, but the track club may be away. I know that they're requested that they had an event in small. So they may be at that tournament, I'm not sure. But they know the protocol. They've been before us many times. Alden Morrison has some information.
Oh, yes.
Is there anything in the bylaws that says if the person is not present that we can't vote? Like it says that they should be there, but does the bylaw say if they fail to be present, the committee cannot take a vote? Because like it's really hard, just like us, right? We meet once a month. And so there's a lot of different things that people, want to get done, but they can't because we're not meeting the 2 times a month like usual. So I would hate for this to have to be put on hold because the next time we meet, their celebration, would it go? Is it over?
No,
no,
September.
Because that's in my calendar to attend. So.
September.
So, but does it say that? Because if it doesn't, we can take a not just for this one, for any the track team, because they've been before us before.
All right, first let me defer to our parliamentarian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to Alder President Pro Tem's point, I believe if the owner of the area is present, they can present on behalf of the organization if they have the information. But if not, then the committee can make a decision whether or not to vote. But again, it does make sense. We would have loved to have the petitioner or the participant who's asking for the request to be present and give us those details. But I think at one point we made a decision that if the owner of that area speaks on their behalf and wants it, I believe that was accepted in past meetings.
Okay.
I am the
Madam-
elder of the area.
Madam President? Who was that?
Well, I saw the name of the church. That was my question. I was gonna ask, do you have a copy of the most recent bylaws as well? Because there's been so many conversations about whether the order of the area could do it or not, and all of those things. And what I think it's actually a good idea to do the ad, but what I don't want to do is start doing something different than what we should be doing, because we all know the one time you can't do something different for somebody, it's going to become an issue. So I would think that we would, to answer her question, would be to go to the last version, because I remember being in 5 different conversations about who could present for who, what, and why.
Yeah.
Let's come up a few times
Yep.
before.
And I really can't remember the very last one, because they were happening like random.
I'm scanning over a copy I have quickly to see if you see anything here on it. If not, it may be something we want to do. Did you see anything? While our Alder Rodriguez.
And I just wanted to know, where is the ad gonna be at? Where are they gonna place the ad?
Let's see, yeah, that's a lot of the questions we don't have. Where, how much the ads cost?
In Dearborn?
Yeah, and this is their anniversary.
Yeah.
This is their 200th anniversary. You know how you have those souvenir books like we do?
Yeah, but it looks like it's an announcement. So if it's in the book, I could see if they're gonna place it in the newspaper or not.
So if it's in the book, or what are the price of ads, the various types of ads, those are the questions that I would have. So we would know how much we're gonna spend on what type of ad. Madam President, you have something there?
Yeah, I was gonna say they're having an event, right? So it tells you how much the luncheon tickets are on the side. So
Yeah.
we know that it's gonna be an event at this place.
Mhm.
So the ad will be placed in a book like we do in the Caucus. I think it does make sense to know what we're voting on, like how much the ad is, how much for full page, half page, something like that.
Yes.
I think that makes sense, because it's probably another attachment or something with this. I'm not sure, but normally it has the ad information, tickets and all of that. So they probably have another attachment with this. But I think it's a good idea, but the good thing about this is we can vote on this in August if people feel uncomfortable with having all the information. And Alder Morrison is the order of that area. She's right now, I think, or after, she's contacting them to see, to answer the question that we have. Because she's the one that's talking to them all the time.
Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair. The reason why I'm asking this is because if this is an advertisement, if it's going to be serving as an advertisement, and because of the purpose of the celebration, this is a very small, minor advertisement, but we might want to do a little bigger.
Quarter
To-
page,
if
half
we're going
page,
to
or depending
be-
on the price.
If we're going to be assisting in favor of the purpose of the advertisement versus if it's going into the book, then it's a whole different thing. Then this is fine if it's going into the book. Advertise the event.
Alder Morrison, were you checking on any more information?
Well, you know what I recommend, since there's a variety of questions that, Al, I don't know who sent you that, if it was,
Mr. Norcott.
Norcott. If you can follow up with her, and ask her to have a representative from from her committee to come down on, to our next meeting in August, because the event is not until September 24th. whatever that last Saturday is. So there's still a little time. So if you could do that, that would just clear all of this stuff.
Yeah,
And they can provide us. And then in the meantime, when you talk to her, you can ask her to send us the documents that speak to the different sizes of the ads, the cost, all of those things. And you could get that to us, so. You
Yeah.
don't have to ask questions that are.
When they, yes, I'll do that. Just so you all know, when they did it, when they were planning to have it in 2000,
So that.
it was a full page ad, it was $200. So I'll have to check with them to see if anything changed, but that was what they were asking for in 2000.
All right, so we've discussed it out of order, but we're trying to get to the point of the floor is open for motion. What would you like to do at this particular time? On this item? Do we want to table it? Do we want to go forward? Yes, Alderman.
I make a motion that we table it to the next meeting, to the next Hispanic Caucus meeting in August, where we can get all the detailed information and then everyone can feel comfortable in regards to what it is that we're going.
Second.
We can get that.
Moving second. Any
I agree, makes sense.
discussion on the motion? I'm sorry for that. Oh,
Second.
yeah, he seconded it.
But he's.
Alder Rodriguez, Megan.
Because of the nature of the event, the advertisement is very significant. I think we need to look at the timeline of what, or who this advertisement is going to and the timeline so that it could take its purpose. It could serve its purpose. I think that's significant. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After corresponding with my colleague, Madam Secretary of the Board of Hispanic Caucus, she informed that the executive group or the executive board did make a decision that going forward, the folks should come in and present before us instead of having the alder present on their behalf. So we're going to work on amending the bylaws so that we can have that information incorporated.
But right as of now was a discussion.
Yeah.
At a previous meeting.
Mhm.
Any other discussion on the motion to table? Come on, Frank. Remain in order. Remember, we passed over going in the reviewing the ground rules, so you remember them. Alderman Wingate.
No, just bring your voices up, Chair and Vice Chair, so everyone can hear.
Is that what he was complaining about?
Yes. I mean, we do have a mask.
I know, but you could just say that out. It's not a problem. Don't be embarrassed. You say you can't hear, it's fine. We're all colleagues here today. So,
What's the next lesson?
yeah. Use some other words. All right, let's get to order. That's all you have?
That's all I have.
Any other discussion on the motion to table this?
With staff follow up to have someone get here.
Yes,
August 10th.
August 10th, next meeting. All right, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of tabling this item?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Passes. The item is tabled to next meeting. The other item we have requesting donation is New Haven Age Group Track Club. Is requesting a donation. Everybody has that email in front of them. We'll read it over. Explain they're hoping to have a 5. Yes, all the more.
Before you read it, just in the same vein as the last request, as they said that the person or persons need to be here to present, it's probably best not to even go through that. Have staff follow up with them, have someone come to the August 10th.
Excellent. Wingate?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just for a short note, they are a credible asset to the community. I know who runs that program, great program. And I try to get in contact with those folks to get August 10th.
Okay, I'm just looking to see if there was a time when they had to have theirs as well. They don't list any kind of a deadline that I see on here.
Wait a minute, the track club is going to join next month.
Madam President?
I think it makes sense to just be consistent. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time talking back and forth about whether we're gonna be consistent or not. So, I mean, it does say that they're going to Philly next month, and this was sent on June 28th, but we don't know whether that means July or what, because it's not a lot of details. And this, from what I read, it says they don't even know if we're getting donations or not. So I think it would be better to just have them come in. I don't think whether they're credible or not matters, because we give people support that do great things in the community all the time. I just think that we need to just be consistent with the things that we're doing here, so we can. We have someone that's supposed to reach out to the entities when they put something like this in to bring them in. We have that structure already set up, so we just gotta follow it.
Right. And one of the things we were working on was having an actual form they could fill out, and if they fill out, turn those in, we can give them additional information. Alderman Gay.
Yeah, to Madam President's point, did that happen in reference to, did somebody connect with them to say that you need to come down here to present, right? Because some of us still in COVID space, right? Did they know that they had to come down here and present tonight in reference to the month? Or was they under the assumption that the alder of the particular ward could represent them?
Mr. Vice Chair, I sent an email in response to that email, telling them when your next meeting was and asking them if they could come down. So they were.
So Al, maybe we can, when we do these emails, we can say that your presence is a requirement. In bold red, something, so people understand that, because we have to remember, most of these donation requests that we're getting are repeats from over the last 10 years. And we just in the ninth inning changed it. Because we always, first it was if you were already presented, and we know it, you could just send your letter. Then it was, okay, the alder can present to you. Now it's, you gotta come in. And if you know me to do the same thing for the last 10 years, but now I need to come in, people gotta get used to that change. So. now,
Okay, so we don't need a motion on that. We're just going consistent with the other item.
The White House.
White House again. Okay, I didn't think we had to make that announcement about phones. All right, so in that case, we are through with the donations.
Well,
Oh,
Mr.
you
Chair,
have something? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the Puerto Rican United Inc. have an event happening, and it's the annual awards dinner gala for July 28th. They have several nominees that they want to honor that night, but they reached out to us for potential donations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the person in charge to come in and present and bring their information.
Yeah,
And
it's July 28th.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can
We
do.
won't have a meeting until August 10th.
Do we want to make an electronic vote?
No,
We're not?
we're not going to start any new policies and procedures here.
Okay,
Um,
I figured
Yeah.
I'd bring it to the table.
I paid for my ticket.
So I just wants to bring that up.
Okay, so we're going to move on
Mhm.
to item B, fundraising gala. Our secretary is not here, has the information. Our other committee member is not here. Alderman Carmen Rodriguez. Sir,
Whichever, if you can, we can leave the conference room or what
Can we?
information are you seeking from?
I'd like to, if you can. Here comes the message. Sorry, Mr. Fontana.
Okay, so I am calling the alder now.
While you're calling her.
Hello.
Hey, alder.
Hi. Can you? Oh, let me fix my phone first. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can. Can you hear Frank?
I can hear you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So we're on to gala announcement.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. As you all should know by now, our gala will be held Thursday, October 27th at Anthony's Ocean View. You all should have received an email asking if you still wish to submit a name to be honored to do that before this meeting. Attached was a list of our past honorees as well. So we did get some submissions. You will be hearing from us pretty soon so that we can move everything along as far as getting everyone voted on to see also if they're going to accept once we get all our voting done. So you will be hearing something from us probably this week, actually, so we can get the voting part started and move right on along with that. But at this time, it is still going to be held on Thursday, October 27th at Anthony's Ocean View, and we will be in touch.
Okay, any questions for the secretary on the gala? None? All right, thank you. Do you have the information on Juneteenth as well? Madam Secretary? She can hang up.
Old Edwards?
Old Edwards.
The way phones work over.
Yo.
It's supposed to automatic. Well, this meeting is not going smooth. This meeting is not going smooth. Madam President. Tell her.
Hey, alder, do you have information on the Juneteenth?
I do not have the information.
Okay. Done. Okay. No worries.
Okay.
All right, let's move on
You
to
wanna say
item D. It says dues reminder, but we'll ask the,
Okay.
we'll move right over to the
All right.
treasurer's report.
I'll
Let the
tell the
treasurer give
chair.
us the report. I
Thank
think
you.
everyone
Take
has
care.
received their dues reminder. If anybody has their dues with them today that they haven't completed paying for, our treasurer is here. And she's ready to take the money.
Yeah, so, dues reminder, people got it, what, Al sent out an email to everyone?
Yes.
So, oh, okay, so everyone knows what their bills, I don't think so.
No, I think that the email just went out to bring the dues. Today was the day to have
Oh,
the dues
to
paid.
bring your dues, oh, okay. All right, so as far as the treasurer's report is concerned, the Navy Blue, the $35,987.81 is what we have to pay at this time. The activity that you see, these are the donations. Check 287 is a part of the old checkbook, so I wasn't able to write down what that was. But all of the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the other 5 are those donations that you guys voted on over the last 2 months. And so they got right to the bank and utilized it. Actually 4. One of the checks I wrote out to the Family Resource Center, but they don't have an account, the Family Resource Center. So Miss Lindsay Gay who came and did the presentation is the person who works in the Family Resource Center, who took the money to do the activity that you all voted on. Funds that are on hold, 16,000, 10,000 for the gala, 3,000 for the seniors, and 3,000 for the youth. As far as the seniors are concerned, the order for Fairhaven, whatever order, I don't know,
Which one?
or the Crespo, is the senior Atwater in your ward?
That'll be Alder Sarah Miller, Alder
Okay,
for Ward 14.
so I need to talk to Sarah so she can, I can give her this check to provide that to the Atwater Senior Center. I will present to the Dixwell Senior Center now that things have like calmed down. They got their board and all that stuff is in play. And then I'll talk to Alder Cola about the money to the Senior Center in his ward. And then as far as the youth are concerned, I'm not aware if we voted on, I mean, I know the two, one with with Mr. Barber, the New Haven, what is it called now? New Haven Scholarship Fund is one. The Hispanic firefighters is the second, and I have to get in contact with, I think Mr. Revere to make sure that he gets that check. But I didn't hear anything about the third one. Were there any submissions that you guys need to vote on the last youth donation? So I just wanted to put that up there. So although we had $35,937.81 in the bank, the actual number is $19,937.81 because of the $16,000 that's on hold. And as it says here, the dues are $120 per year. And so I'm just gonna leave that there because I don't know where people are supposed to be at this time.
Okay.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? Seeing none. Treasurer's report is not something that we normally would vote on this session. We have the documentation in front of us. All I ask is of our treasurer to go over the records to see for the executive committee who's in arrears with their dues. And then we can make personal appeals. We can make personal appeals to them, see if they're interested in bringing them up to date. But I hate to lose anybody from this group just based on the dues. The dues is something that is required, it's necessary, but that's my personal feeling. We'd like to keep everybody up to date. Thank you. That's the treasurer's report. Any other new business? Any other new business? Our only new business is actually our speaker. Since he wasn't put on here, we'll put him under new business. Mr. Fontana, we will entertain you, or you will entertain us. I asked Director Fontana to come to our meeting to speak to us about a group that we've been meeting, the School Security, Safety and Security Task Force. For what, about 4 years? 3 or 4 years?
Actually, yeah, 4 years. Actually, February 14th was the Stoneman Douglas Parkland, Florida shooting, school shooting. And a week later, we were engaging in School Safety and Security Task Force meeting. So thank you for the opportunity. I will say Chief Reddish had expected to be here. He had a little bit of an accident out in front of the building, so he was going to try and get in. But I think I want to thank Alder Anson. He's been a part of our task force for some time now. You know, It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Hate to even think that we've had over 350 mass shootings in 2022 alone. It's going to be the busiest year on record. There hasn't been a week that's gone by in 2022 where there hasn't been a mass shooting. Whether it's December 14th, 2012, we lost 27 victims at St. And that's near and dear to us because it's in our home state. And February 14, 2018, at Stoneman Douglas at Parkland, Florida, 17 victims. On top of the 17 victims, there were 16 that were injured who were not killed. And then on May 24th, 2022, who would have ever thought? Uvalde, Texas, another elementary school, Rock Elementary, 21 victims. I don't know. It concerns us. We've had 45 meetings since 2018. A year and a half, we did not move due to COVID. So if anyone thinks that we're not meeting and going over strategy after strategy to ensure the safety of our schools, we've got everybody engaged. We've had 3 tabletop exercises. And when I say tabletop exercise, we bring everybody together and we go over where we have found that in all of the mass shootings, especially in the schools, that in the first 10 minutes, and I want to go to Uvalde because that was a lot hell of a longer than 10 minutes. Most of the issues occur with the communication in the first 10 minutes because that shooting is usually over quickly. So we've been practicing and exercising that. So we've done 3 tabletops, we've done 2 functional exercises. I will tell you, we continue to plan. We are not perfect. We have some challenges. I think everyone knows we have challenges. We have challenges with our radio system. And I will tell you, I've been reading some of the information out of Uvalde, and radio problems too. And the radio problems are not our radio system. The radio problems stem from school buildings, based on concrete, based on glass, because everyone's using that low E glass, and you can't get out of the building. You can't get through it. So what we're doing is in our fire apparatus, we put repeaters in our fire apparatus. So instead of, remember, when you're transmitting with a portable radio, a small portable radio, they're only 3 watts. And our radio system was built for cars, fire trucks and police cars, built in the 80s. And it's long overdue. And it's a lot of money. It's not cheap. But if you can't communicate in an emergency, what I'm hearing is the only radios that worked in Uvalde were the Border Patrol tactical channel. We've been working with tactical channels here in New Haven to ensure that we have communications. We have challenges with this incident command. You've got to develop the incident command. You've got to get, and unfortunately, if there's a school shooting, the fire department, who is going to be responsible now for setting up incident command, can't even get into the hot zone. So we got to stay a block away. So that may be where a command post is. Our police officers now are trying to work off the tactical channels, but because the tactical channels aren't recorded, because they go direct, they're like a walkie-talkie. Right now, if you click that portable radio, and it could be anywhere, we just happen to be talking about schools. We have a problem in the hospitals, we have a problem in underground buildings. So that's never going to change. But what we do know is our schools are bad. So we've identified the 3 high schools as a priority. And the priority for us was to ensure that we had radio communication because we thought that the risk was.
Made it.
You okay?
I'm hurting. I need to be at the meeting. So. In the police have to find me at fault. Hold back a car smacked off.
All right, let's see that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So, you know, so our radio system is a challenge. We'll continue to talk about that. The school system, we finally have a full plan. There's a full plan here.
Rick, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
Just on the radio part. What, can you kind of go briefly over what we're looking at as far as ordinance changes for new buildings?
Yeah. So, yeah, good point. So what we're looking at is putting an ordinance in place. And that ordinance would be a couple of different things. What we're trying to do is we're trying to say any new buildings that are built, you have the responsibility to ensure communication, 95% coverage between fire, police, and EMS. And if you can't guarantee that coverage, you've got to put a BDA, we call it, bi-directional amplification. And that amplifies the radio signal to get it out of the building. And remember, we have 8 repeater sites around the city. Our best one by far is East Rock. But we have them on Knights of Columbus, we have them on the hospital, we have them on some of the schools, we have them on some of the elderly complexes. So we have enough, but the system is old. So we're asking, it's going to come before you. We want an ordinance in the city that says you're not building a new building unless you have radio coverage. We put a couple of drafts together. We tried to get it through the chief administrator's office to here. It needs to the mayor. It needs to be an ordinance. They have them in many cities. It's a huge challenge, and I can tell you, the first time we can't transmit, and we're in a battle. It's going to be hard to explain to someone. We knew about it, and we didn't do anything about it.
It's happened. That career, it happened in career. The SRO was in the school. He was dealing with a student up in the bathroom area. We could see him on the camera. He's trying to transmit out. PD couldn't hear him. Our school security's radio wasn't even transmitting that day out of that area. They were looking at us going like this, waving at us on the camera. I'm like, pick up your cell phone. That was a pretty bad situation. And he had about 5 to 10 kids inside the bathroom that he's trying to deal with, and it was a gun call. They thought it might have been a gun in the bathroom.
Unfortunately, it's expensive. It's expensive. We're talking in order to upgrade the radio system. Just alone is about $6.25 million. And that still doesn't guarantee it.
All right, can we just pause for a couple of questions?
Sure.
All the Wingate first.
Thank you for coming to the deck again. First thing is your value is different. That was bad policing. The first, you don't want to do you guys. Has there been any kind of grants out there around getting new radios? Because we do have a great grant writer for our police department in reference to the $6 million. And how can we protect the old? I understand that you want to ordinance for the new, right? And we probably can do that, right? But in reference to the buildings that are existing, like career, like how can we try to get monies for that? And once again, and we look for grants in those other entities with money to try to support them.
So the answer to that is that we have looked at many locations for grants. Unfortunately, the only grants that are able to secure for school grants are through the Department of Education. And New Haven Public Schools, they do right. Our goal is to get to 3 high schools. And it's about 700,000 for all 4. There's FEMA, unfortunately, doesn't have radio communication grants. They have COPS grants and they have firefighter grants. But they don't look at the communication, meaning the infrastructure. The infrastructure is on the backs of taxpayers. And if we had a mechanism that we can put in for a grant for communications, we do it in a minute. We do. We have grant writers in the police department. I do grant writing in the fire department. We've gotten some radio grants, but it's to replace the handheld portable radios, not infrastructure. So the PSAP has actually obtained a couple of grants through the state of Connecticut, but again, it's they're a lot smaller. We're talking 200,000 and 130,000 respectively. They've gotten those grants to install 2 new repeaters. But for the full system, there's no mechanism within the grant process for us to say, let's write a grant to replace that system. Unfortunately, it's just not there. The BDA issue, we can never go to the buildings that are built right now because it would be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what we're doing is we're going to tactical channels. So instead of using the repeaters to get to 911, we're using radios and we're going to a tactical direct channel. But that doesn't have the capability. So you're talking directly to everybody in the area, but not to 911. So it's not being recorded. So what we're saying is, we're saying, listen, the PD wears cameras. It's recorded. It does give you a way to communicate with them. But it's a challenge, and the funding is just not easy to obtain grants. And it's unfortunate that it's going to come on the backs of taxpayers. And we've been talking about this for many years. We started to say, let's put $1 million a year aside. But you know, asking to put $1 million aside for something is fell on some deaf ears. But we're working on it. What we're trying to do is come up with a short-term fix of utilizing tactical radio channels. And just understand that they're not getting the PSAP. So you may have to have a person with you with a radio or outside in a car radio getting that communication. But everybody in the battleground will be talking.
The next question, Alder Douglas, is up.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, sharing with us. I just need a little more clarity on this ordinance that you're talking about. You said you'd like to implement, or like for us to implement an ordinance regarding any buildings being built, new buildings being built. You talk any building in the city.
Any building in the city, if you set up to install a BDA, so again, there's a requirement set forth under the National Fire Protection Association. It says you got that 95% coverage, radio coverage in the building for it to be compliant with the standard. And that's an NFPA standard. So for us, we said, if every new building is tunneled and wired, which is, you know, depending on the size of the building.
But that's what I was going to
30,000.
ask. Is there a size requirement that doesn't make
So
sense?
we typically say anything 3 stories with 3 floors. If you can't demonstrate the 95%, when you're building it, you can't, because the windows aren't in and everything's not done. So we're telling you, is what we want to tell you, you prepare your building for a bidirectional amplification system. And when the building is built, you don't have to put all the components in, but you gotta run the wires.
And that's at their cost.
That's at their cost. We fought like hell, and I will tell you, we fought to get 360 State Street. When you're talking, these buildings are millions and millions. It's not a big cost. It's a small cost, but it's a cost. And everyone tries to cut corners, and with cabling now, all the cabling prices are like fuel prices. So everything is more money. But we want to tell people, if you're going to build a commercial building, not residential, commercial or residential, if it's over
3 stories.
3 stories,
Thank you. Thank you for that.
it's no cost to us, but it ensures our firefighters and police officers can talk.
Madam President, you're next.
Thank you. I guess when we talk about grants and all of that stuff, it's good, but to me, it's about priorities. Are you finished with the ordinance? Like, I don't know. I feel like you gotta have the right people in the room, because you said it's falling on deaf ears. I don't have any kids in the school or any of that, but I care about children. And if this is a major priority for the city, and this is just my opinion, I feel like this is one of the first meetings we're getting as much detail as you gave tonight was transmitted to me. So I feel like if something is falling on deaf ears, I want to know a little bit more about that and why. How long is it going to take to get the ordinance together? Why we don't have it? Can we review it? Like, those are my questions, because to me, it's not about putting away $1 million. $1 million seem like a lot, but then it don't. If you're talking about lives, I don't feel like lives could be weighted against money. So I think it's the priority. You just said it's not if it's going to happen, here, it's when. So that's concerning to me. And if we had this group meeting and coming up and developing all of these things, that is going to make it better for the people that have to deal with those situations when they happen. I feel like the conversation has to be had, and if there's any roadblocks, they just got to be knocked down. But you got to have the right people in the room, because I don't really believe in like falling on deaf ears at all, actually.
Yeah, we've had myself and Chief Alston have written the ordinance. We took language from, so Boston has the best, they have the best BDA ordinance. But we also didn't want to say it came from Boston. So we took West Hartford and we integrated both of the language, and we developed an ordinance. And to me, it's ready to go. It's written. We've developed it. We've tweaked it. We've retweaked it. And I think there's always reluctancy when someone says you're putting a cost on something. But I don't think you can put a cost on someone's life. And the sooner you start it, you see what's getting built around here, right? I will tell you, the new building on Union Street, that's got a BDA in it. You know why? They decided to put a BDA on it based on our recommendation. Yale, the buildings they're starting to build now, all BDAs. But when you put teeth in an ordinance and say, no, you will do it, not you should do it, because we can't require that. We could recommend. And we know we'll be able to talk.
I strongly recommend stuff all the time. And to me, that's mandatory, not just like if you want to. But I just feel like either the city pays now or later. So it really doesn't matter. Either you plan, because if you don't plan, then we're gonna come into a situation that's gonna be detrimental, and the city gonna end up paying. Because if somebody's child get hurt, they're not trying to hear anything that we're saying, well, you know, putting a burden on somebody building buildings. Nobody cares about that. I wouldn't, as a parent. So I think look, trying to find the right words never worked for me. So I'm just gonna say what I feel like saying. So what is the real issue? Why isn't it happening? Ordinances come through all the time. What is the process? You're trying to get the administration to feel good about it and comfortable about it? Because I would like to see a copy of the ordinance myself, actually.
I've shared it. I will share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't seen it.
I will send it over for your review.
Thank you very much.
And then you can share it with it. The way we look at it, it's ready to go. But again, the BDAs that we're really like focusing on right now are the 3 in the high schools. And we're trying to figure out where does the money come? Does it come? Is it the Board of Education? Does it not New Haven Public Schools because it's their buildings? The mayor has, I will be honest with you, the mayor has been saying, get me the prices. I want to get this done. He has been, and the mayor has been very forceful in seeing all of this continue, all of this planning. I mean, he really wants to hold people accountable and people's feet to the fire. It's clear that this whole process continues, we strengthen it, we get better at what we're doing. But again, when it comes to money, those are where the challenges come.
Yes, because he further explained, I know where the issue is. Thank you very much. Thomas is here.
Next was Alder Epsilon Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for coming and for all the work that you do. It's really appreciated. Sure. I said, thank you all for coming and for all the work that you do. It's greatly appreciated. So I just had a chance to really read through a synopsis of the Massachusetts BDA ordinance. And I'm just, saying this for our, I guess, our own benefit is from what you've explained, it seems very comprehensive. I can definitely see the need to look into this a lot further. I'm looking for the West Hartford ordinance, but I'm sure it'll get sent to us again at some point. As far as funding goes, I'm not sure. I want to know if you've all looked into this, and if not, it's like a friendly suggestion, because I noticed that the U.S. Department of Justice has some funding for projects just like these. They have a list of funding where different grants, different programs, which a program schools. So because I'm envisioning that in order to pay for it, it'll have to come from multiple pots. Also, I would suggest getting in touch with the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection if you hadn't, because in 2020, the state issued bonding for the amount of $5 million, which was spread amongst multiple schools throughout the state. But perhaps that's something to look into to see if any of those funds are still available, or if that's possibly something that you all can or we can advocate for with our state delegation for this upcoming session that will begin in January. That's all.
Thank you. Next, were you going to respond to this? Or?
I think we do work very closely with the Department of Emergency Communications and Public Protection at the state level, and their numbers. That's a real small number when you're talking statewide, but that's where we did the funding to put up both new repeater systems, and one was about 2, and the other one I think 130. So that came out of that pot. So that does happen, but it typically we're replacing older technology, and the costs are a lot less. If you went to them they want us to get on their system. Their system for us to join in is 18 million, and then it's 2 million a year to continue to upgrade, because it's all systems, and they become responsible for it. But we don't even think that their system is as good as ours. They use 700 technology, what they call it. In our police department, we use UHF 450, and the penetration with UHF in buildings, and I don't mean getting out of the building, I mean in the building, going through different, concrete and steel is better. So they don't like the fact that we don't want to go with their system, but it's very costly. That's a lot. We know that we can redo our system for about 6.5, and that's including all of the microwave technology as well.
So I just want to say thank you for that. And like I said, I'm very encouraged by what I saw in the synopsis of the mass ordinance. I'm interested in seeing what, if anything, we could do here, and would still just encourage you to possibly utilize some of this time we have between now and January to engage some of our state level elected officials.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Alderman Morrison, you're next.
Yes, thank you. This is really a follow-up to Amy's, questions, comments. So as far as your ordinance, really, I mean, are you ready? Is this something you're ready to submit, communicate like next month? And start that ball rolling, because the realities are when things are communicated, then the administration and everyone else that's involved or needs to be involved has to start coming to the table because they got to produce.
I've sent it
your process, which you have
across, but Madam President, I just sent you the document, and you can share it. I think it's,
Is it politics? Like,
I don't know.
and I'll just be real frank. When our constituents tell me, Jeanette, I don't like X, Y, and Z, I'm like, you know what? Communicate that to the Board of Aldermen, to our president, so that topic can be put on our agenda. She can assign it to a committee, so this committee can look at this, in the city or whoever else needs to do whatever they got to do to present the information. So it's as simple as that in my brain. So when you say to me and so like us that you have this hot and popping ordinance, I'm like, well, why don't you give it to us so we can get the ball rolling? And if people are telling you no, then okay, then we got to figure out how we get that information from that side of the table to this side of the table. But the only way that you're really going to get things moving as far as money, because you got the Board of Ed, they got whatever money they got, and you got the city, they got whatever money they got. Nobody probably wants to let go of their money, but these are all our kids. And if we know that there's a barrier between saving lives because we can't communicate, we got to act yesterday. Because if I have little kids or kids in the school system, something happened to my kids, and it was about some money, oh, that's
I understand. I wish I had the answer. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer. I don't want to say it's politics because I don't really know if it's politics. I think it's just, I'm the emergency management director, and I can just recommend something be right.
okay.
Okay, thank you. She can be forward.
We're trying to get that straight in my head.
Rush kiddos.
Okay.
Alder Rodriguez, you're next.
Thank you once again for everything you've done with us in reference to the emergency operations of the city. And we know there's a lot of issues when it comes to the infrastructure of the city and the Board of Education. But what I'd like to look at with you is if the ordinance includes language in reference to the old, as Alderman Wingate brought to your attention in terms of protecting the old. And if you, as you've collaborated with some of the current new developers like the 101 College Street, if they're considering the BDA protection, the protection plan, first of
100
all,
College
invite-
Street has a BBA.
And the other thing that's really important, I'm glad that you're talking with our president, because once she reviews it, it will become a communication piece. It may very well go into the safety, allowing opportunity for input from the community and everyone to know that this is something of interest and to get that input to improve and get that ordinance hopefully in place it needs to be. Education, you are indicating that you've already begun education by talking to many people that are significant to owning this ordinance and being responsible to implement it. Is that correct?
Again, I've submitted it to, and there's been a little bit of turnover too, in the office. So, Regina Rush Kittle, who is the CAO now, she's not afraid to push things forward, as we know. But again, I think it's just, it has not gotten, it just hasn't gotten to, I can, Chief Alston and myself, we've done our work. So we've submitted it for review. It's gone to the Chief Administrative Officer. Remember, we were between Scott Jackson and Rebecca, and then on to Regina, and then before that, Mike Carter. So it started right at the end of Mike Carter's tenure. And so with a little bit of turnover and people, looking at priorities, my priority might be a little bit different than someone else's priorities. But again, I think if we could, I think it's, to me, it's life-saving, and it's life-threatening all at once.
In reference to the Uvalde incident, if we would have had this system in place, what could have made a difference if this system was in place?
I think that's a totally different
Scenario?
It's, I think it's totally different than what we're talking about. I don't think there's, again, they were able to communicate tactically, but it doesn't explain the time zone. So.
All right, for now, we're gonna do one more question, then we give an opportunity to continue on his presentation. Alderman Wingate.
You're not done with your presentation?
I got a couple more quick things, but
Well,
and then
yeah,
Chief Roach is here too. He's got.
My question was to Chief Reddish actually. I can go. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Unless you want to hold it until he gives his presentation.
it all runs because I got confidence in leadership. Madam President gonna handle the ordinance piece. I'm not worried about that at this point. She got it. She gonna run with it. I do have a question for Reddish, and thank you for staying after you was in the accident. Most people would have left, went to the emergency room, something like that. In reference to time, right? Because everything's about time. That 10 minutes is very, very, very important, right? How often do y'all do like assimilations with the kids, right? To say, like in an emergency, this is where you go, this is where you run, this, like from school to school. Have y'all done that? Like to simulate if you are in an emergency, in a crisis, right? Like how often do you do that? And I know we've been through COVID, right? How often do you do that? And where have you done it?
So state requirement that lockdown drills have to be done quarterly.
Okay.
So say September comes, they're gonna do 2 fire drills, and they're gonna do 1 lockdown drill.
Mhm.
Every month they have to do a fire drill, and on the 3rd month, they have the option of doing now a lockdown drill. So basically, within 3 months, they gotta do a lockdown. So they do 4 a year. When I first came in as a director, I was doing the lockdowns every month.
Mhm.
And that way everybody was getting used to doing it, knowing how to do it. But they said that was scaring the children, that's scaring the personnel, that's scaring everybody. So we went to the state standard, which is just one drill every 3 months. So that's what they do.
Thank you. I think I remember something like that. I was chair of public safety at the time. I agree with you. I think we need to be doing it more often than not. But thank you.
Want to go now? You want to make benefit?
I'll wait, I'm not gonna forget my question. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Floor is back to you.
Yeah, so if I could, one of the things that we found in doing our exercises, that there's the biggest element of weakness that we have found too is the lack of training on the school administration and teacher side. And there's no pointing fingers here. It's a big district. There's over 40 schools here. But we have their attention. We have the superintendent's attention and the assistant superintendents, and they're at the meetings. We're now going to start something that we both Chief Reddish and I were doing. It was called the Learning Academy, and we were doing it via Zoom, and we were teaching some of the teachers on protocol. Because although we have a new lockdown procedure, we don't use colors anymore, codes and colors, because it's too confusing. But when you look at some of the school plans individually, the smaller school plans, not the district-wide plan, but the school plans, they change the date on it, but not the content. And the only reason we found that out is we finally have all 41 plans. Now we have a district-wide plan, but when you read through them, you see that some of them are really good and a lot of them are really bad because they haven't updated them. Again, changing leadership in the schools is an issue. So what we're going to do is this August, we're going to be teaching classes, and it's part of the professional development of the teachers and administrators, preparing for classroom emergencies. And it's a presentation that the chief and I both have done. We're going to tweak it a little bit more, but this is what it is. It's preparing for emergency. What do you do when something happens? You've all heard of run, hide, fight, right? I'm telling you, the city of New Haven, we're going away from that. Because the run, hide, fight doesn't work in the school system. We don't like the term run, hide, fight. So now we're working with a new program that comes out of Texas A&M, or TEACS as we know it. And it's a new program that we're going to be teaching to civilians' response to active shooter incidents. And it's called Avoid, Deny, and Defend. No more run, hide, fight. Because what if someone's disabled or someone has a physical disability? They can't run. So we're going to take on this new role of avoid, deny, defend. It's a class that we're going to go to it. We're going to teach others on how to teach it, and we're going to make it literally a standard of training, not just for teachers, but for employees who work in the city of New Haven. Because, like I said at the beginning of this, it's not a matter of if. And if you can't give people some basic tools on what the heck to do when this is happening. Kids that are in elementary school, well, different. They're defenseless. That's a coward. Our goal is to do something different. There's going to be something we're going to do it citywide. And if it means getting out into the public, we'll do that. But we've got to start with our own people that work here. Because if you don't think that we're talking, the mayor's office, they feel unsafe because they're so vulnerable that people can, you know, people don't like what they hear coming out of City Hall. You don't want somebody going, you know, they deal with people that don't like government, right? So, you know, now we have the mayor's door locked. We're doing intercoms and we're doing cameras, and, you know, you come up to the door and you push a button, they see your face and let you in, but there's no safety and security around here. It's very difficult. Now with everything starting to open back up, there's some challenges, but I think we've got to do a better job at teaching our employees, whether they be teachers, whether they be employees in City Hall, whether they be in the Hall of Records, whether they be in other public buildings. We can't do a 4-hour course. We got to do something that's 45 minutes, because no one's going to put up with 4 hours. So we're working on it. This guy has never said no. We've been together in every school meeting. I tell people all the time, you want to see what the school system's doing? Go over to their office at the Gateway Building at 54 Meadow and look at the emergency operations center they have and see what they're looking at on a day-to-day basis. How many cameras the school district has. And, you know, when you look at it, you go, okay, they're pretty prepared. They've got security more than they've ever had before. But again, it's a challenge because they can't keep people. It's difficult. But I'm going to stop there. I know you know, we can go on and talk about this, you know, all night. But I want you to know that there's no one sleeping at the switch here. We're working our butts off to make sure that we're keeping people safe. We meet some challenges. We're not perfect, but every time we do an exercise, we get better. You just keep your fingers crossed. It's not a matter of if.
Alderman Morrison.
Yes, I just have a comment. I'm happy to hear that you're doing this new class and you said all city employees. Two things I would just ask is, one, that it is mandatory. I don't know, mayor or whoever has to make that, so it has to be mandatory. But I think it should also be for the contractors too. Because of course, for me, when I think about, you know, when you said city employees, my mind goes to the QR. That's, you know, hey, it be the good guys or the bad guys if we're having those kind of issues. And so that staff needs to go through this training. And I think this is one of those trainings, like my job, there's certain trainings every year, it's about 20 of them. Every year we do the same ones, and they may not have updated them, but we have the trainer on the computer, and we take these different tests, and it just keeps that information on your mind. So I ask that everyone. However,
Agree. Yeah.
Policy or whatever.
I don't think anyone would have a hard time saying, look, it's like sexual harassment. You gotta do that training, right? As a supervisor. The bottom line is you gotta do it. You gotta do it. And, you know, if it really standardizes something and it saves someone's life, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. And we haven't gotten to that point yet, but